Ignite Your Visibility on Social Media session. And I am so excited for today's session because I have a special guest and friend, Stacia Crawford. Welcome. Oh my gosh, this is going to be such a treat because we are just getting ready to launch our Ignite Your Visibility to Profits workshop next Tuesday. So by the way, if you're not in there yet, it's a free workshop. There's a link above this video. Get in there. But this is perfect conversation because part of this workshop is talking about why positioning ourselves online is so important. So what we're going to talk about today is how to use media to get your message in front of millions. And I'm not just talking about on social media. I'm talking about on media like television and other places like that. So before I have Stacia tell us all of her brilliance and how we do this, I want to share with you guys just a little bit about her because we have actually connected inside of a mastermind that we're in, and I've seen your work and I've heard of the results, and I've also seen the results that you bring to clients. And I just am so excited and so thankful to have you on. So let me share a little bit about Stacia. So she is the founder and chief strategist for Stay Ready Media. So make sure to follow her over there. Her 30 years of experience as a TV news producer has positioned her to be a skilled communications specialist, media trainer, and publicity strategist. This award-winning journalist provides exceptional public relations, I'm like all over the place, and media coaching and targeted media outreach for clients in both the private and public sectors. Stacia is a master at helping entrepreneurs just like you, just like me, authors and industry leaders to get massive media exposure on TV, radio, magazines, and podcasts. As a media insider, she understands what journalists want and what it takes to deliver. Stacia's clients have been featured in countless broadcasts, print, and digital outlets across the country, including, you guys ready for this? ABC, CBS, NBC, Fox, CNN, WGN, the New York Times, Wall Street Journal, Washington Post, and Oprah magazine. And those are just to name a few. Oh my gosh, Stacia, like that is freaking awesome.
Yeah, thank you.
And I know I mentioned to you too, like I definitely want to talk to you more personally about this. So let's dive right in because I know we have very similar audiences that are looking for the same thing. They're looking for building that brand awareness, for leveling up their positioning in the marketplace as a go-to expert. But at the same time, people are super terrified to show up.
Yeah.
And so before we dive into this in more detail, let's talk a little bit about that. So how do you feel how can people get past this? Like, what is some of the best ways? And I know, I share a lot about this inside of my own trainings and with my own clients. And even, especially with people that have had tremendous success offline and are trying to expand that in the online, digital, and media world. What would you suggest? How can they get past that?
Yeah, I think one of the things that you do to get past it is you remember, why did you start this business in the first place? When you stay focused on your objectives and your goals, you use that as the fuel to get over whatever those hurdles may be. So, and I often tell people when it comes to, really getting that exposure and that media, it really is two-pronged. The first part is attitude. The second part is action. And so the attitude, what we mean by that is your mindset, right? This means, do you have that confidence? And so that's what we do inside of our programs too. We work about that confidence. We focus on, when you take the focus off of you and you put it on the fact that you have a solution to a problem that your audience has, that's really how you get over it, right? It's like when you think about somebody, running into a burning building, they could stand on the side and think about all the reasons that's dangerous. Oh, but what if I fall? What if I don't make it out? Da-da-da. You don't have time to do that. You focus on the person who has the problem and you have the solution. And then those walls start coming down.
Right. And, I'm curious because, you as a TV producer, you weren't in front of the camera, but
Right.
now you are because I see you live a lot. So for you, share a little bit about this journey for you, because I know, like, even for me, I counted not too long ago. It's been over 1,000 live streams over the last like 12 years that I've been doing live
Ooh,
streams. But I used to literally sweat like under my arms before going live.
yeah.
And people say, "Oh, but it seems like it comes so naturally to you." It doesn't. It took me a lot. It's been a journey to get past that. So how did this happen for you? I'm curious.
Yeah. I mean, it comes from doing it. I mean, when I first got
Yeah.
into TV, yeah, I did want to be a reporter. I wanted to be that person in front of the camera. And then I got an internship, and one day I'm in the station and I see this woman, and you can just look at her presence. She commanded everybody's attention. She's telling everybody what to do. And I was like, who is she? And somebody they said, she's the producer. And I was like, oh, forget that reporting. I want to be her. That's who I
That's
want to be.
cool.
I want to be the decision maker. I want to be the one who holds the power.
Yeah.
Particularly at a time, 30 years ago, there weren't a lot of, first of all, women, and certainly not Black women in
Mhm.
those positions. And so now, spending 30 years in television behind the camera, yeah, it's a little different because now I do have to come out in front of people. So it's easy for me to share my story, to tell people, I get it. You don't
Right.
really know what to do, what to say, how to show up in front of the camera. I get, people who say, well, I'm an introvert, or I'm really shy, I could never be on TV. We work through all of that because, again, when you're focused on the fact that there is somebody out there who needs you, but they
Mhm.
can't find you because you aren't showing up. So
Right.
take the focus off of your fear and, you worrying about, well, what if I say the wrong thing, or what are people going to think? Or, you know, I look at some of my live streams from when I first started, and I look at live streams from now, and I'm like, oh my God, I was a mess.
Me too. And sometimes I still am. Like, I've had my
Absolutely.
light fall in front of, like, on my
Yeah.
face while I'm live, or one of my kids like come in here, or like the dog barking. I mean, it's and honestly, I feel like that just makes it even more fun and exciting for the viewer
Yeah.
and for your audience, because you're just
Absolutely.
real and
Absolutely.
authentic.
Yeah, and that's what people want. I
Yeah.
think we've been in this social media bubble for so long that people are tired of it. They're tired of the perfection. Everybody looks perfect, sounds perfect. You do videos and it takes you 50 takes because you want it to be absolutely perfect. That doesn't resonate with people.
Right.
But when you are authentic
Right.
and you are genuine, that's what people want anyway. So, I tell them, take
Yeah.
the focus off of the perfection. Imperfection action is what's going to drive your results. Now, when you're talking about television, you want to be, I don't want to say perfect, but you want to be good. And so that is
Right.
why, training is important. I would never tell anybody, oh, just go do a TV interview and just wing it. You never want to do
Mhm.
that. There's definitely some preparation that goes into it. But I'll tell you, anybody is capable of it. I mean, I've had, work with children as young as 5 and 6 years old who've done TV interviews, and you usually
Yeah.
find that it's the adults who let the fear stop them. The kids don't care. So, maybe we need to be more like the kids.
Like a child. That's so true. Um, Actually, Jessica she just commented that she absolutely is terrified to show up right here. And I can't believe that, because we've seen her. She's huge on YouTube.
Absolutely.
She shows up all the
I watch her
time.
every day, and she's hilarious. And that's one of the reasons that I love watching her, because she is so genuine. She is herself. The Jessica that you see on YouTube is the same
She
Jessica,
totally is
that you
herself.
see inside of the group. And it's like, this is who I am, take it or leave it. And people have to realize too that that's really part of, that's part of your magic. No, you're not going to be for everybody. You're not going to resonate with everybody, and that's okay. That's
That's okay.
okay.
And we actually want that. We want that.
Absolutely, right,
Yeah.
exactly, because that's what this media thing is, right? And even being online on the internet, doing your live streams and videos, it's to attract those people who are in alignment with you. Those who aren't,
Right.
that's okay. Go find somebody else.
I love that. I love that I'm not the only one saying that, because I feel like I'm constantly like saying the same thing. But yeah, it's absolutely true. So, how can media like this, when we're talking, or PR really, how can that help us as personal brands and even with our business brands?
Oh my gosh, it's huge, and most people
Yeah.
overlook it. That's the thing that frustrates me the most, because a lot of people, when I talk to folks, they're like, "Oh, well, I use word of mouth and, social
Mhm.
media, and, I'm handing out flyers and things like that." And I'm like, "Do you realize that you have an incredible story and you can reach millions of people?" But what television does, social media is awesome, and I tell people definitely use it. It is amazing. If you're not using social media to build your brand, you are missing out. But if you are not using mass media, you're also missing out on another whole bucket of people, because it builds that credibility. Whereas everybody has access to social media, everybody can get on, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram.
Right.
But when you talk about television, you have to be invited. And that in itself gives you a certain level of authority and credibility that you do not get from the other forms of media. So, you show up in those spaces, and that helps to get you to, the other levels, such as television, radio,
Mhm.
magazines.
It it feels like, I mean, it feels very exclusive also, so it, like, levels up that, um, that level of authority, but at the same time, it feels, like, so hard to, like, make that happen. So, how do you know when, first of all, how do you know when is the right time for media in your business? And then, honestly, like, how do you just go about it?
Yeah.
Because it feels like it's so far out there to actually make that
Yeah,
happen.
absolutely. I mean, in terms of, publicity, the right time is
Mhm.
when you have something to say. It's really that simple. When you have something that is of value to a mass audience, and that means most people have something of value. They're just not focused on the right thing. And when most
Mhm.
people try to get booked in media, and they'll say, "Oh, well, I sent them a press release, and, nobody invited me to be on TV." And I'll tell them, because you didn't know what you were doing. Most people will send what they call a pitch, but they'll send an email and say,
Mhm.
"Oh, well, I'm a relationship counselor. If ever you're looking for somebody to talk about relationships, here's my information. Contact me." I'm like, as a
Right, they don't there's like they're like, "Who cares?"
who
What.
cares? And I mean that quite literally. You have to
Yeah.
know who cares about the message that you have. Who cares about what you have to offer? And that means getting, number one, getting in front of the right audience, getting in front of those people who care about what you're talking about. It's
Mhm.
just that simple. And so it's not hard. It's just that you have to be strategic. You have to be strategic, and you have to know what they're looking for. If you have a brand, if
Gotcha.
even if you're selling a product, you're selling shoes, and you have the best shoes in the world, they're handcrafted, the best leather, they're beautiful, but you're trying to sell them to someone who has no feet. They don't care.
Right?
They don't care.
So what can you give me an example of, like, what would be a newsworthy or media worthy story that can get somebody in the door?
Well, first of all, I would say always think about not pitching your business. In most cases, your
Mm,
business is the last thing that a journalist cares about. It really
okay.
is. Think about the problem that you solve for that audience. One of the easiest ways for you to get booked is to think about 5 tips that you could offer. Like, think about the common questions
Mhm.
that people may ask you about your business. They have a problem, they're asking you these questions. That could be the perfect jumping off point for a television segment.
Okay, interesting. And, like, trending things, that topics that are trending too, right? That you can, um, answer, that you can correlate with.
Absolutely. When there are
Yeah,
things that are happening in the world, happening in the media, and journalists
yeah.
are already talking about it, that's where your positioning is crucial, because now you position yourself as an authority to be able to give your insight, your commentary, your perspective about a particular issue. And it could be something that people always think newsworthy means that it has to be hard news. But as a
Right.
journalist, we know that, the world is dark. There's a lot of hard and heavy stuff going on. And so they're looking for those moments of light, those moments of hope as well. So think of your story in that way. If it does nothing else, it gives them a break from all of the hard news that, these audiences have to endure on a daily basis. So if you want to know if your story is interesting, then ask yourself. I usually use, I know it's going to sound crazy, Old MacDonald had a farm, E-I-E-I-O. So the
Okay.
E-I-E-I-O is entertaining, right? Is your story entertaining? The I
Uh-huh.
is it interesting? Does anybody, are people who are watching, scrolling through channels, is it interesting enough to make them want to stop and listen to you for 3 to 5 minutes? The second E is
Right.
it enlightening? Are you going to give some insight, offer something, make people think a little differently, give them a spark? And then the
Mhm.
other I is inspiring. People are looking for hope.
Mm.
Are you going to be able to offer people some hope, make them, look at something different in the world? What kind of impact is your story going to bring? And then O is original. Is your story original? Because you have to think of television as a business as well. So those stations are
Mhm.
competing with other stations. And, they want their audiences to know that they can turn to them for something that is original that they're not going to find anywhere else. And that is why when you're
Right.
pitching the media, you have to stop pitching the same story to everybody and every outlet. Journalists know when you're doing that, and they're like, nope, nope. They just
Oh, so they know, like, if you're just spreading this out, hoping that one of them picks it up.
exactly. And that's what we call it,
Interesting.
spray and pray. You spray it out
Okay.
there and you pray that somebody picks it up. But instead, what you want to do is you want to have a targeted pitch for each journalist. You want them to know
Wow.
that, think of your pitch as a gift. And I have this gift specifically for you because I know what you like. I know what stories you cover. I know what your audience wants. And that's why I've designed this story specifically for you and your audience. That is what gets a journalist's attention.
Interesting. Okay. So how does somebody go about this? So, like, let's say I came to you and I was like, Stacia, I want to be on media, but I have no idea what I'm doing or what to do. Like, how do you walk people through that process? And because it sounds, first of all, I don't know how I would be able to pitch different media outlets in all different ways. It sounds, for one person to do, like, a lot. This is definitely something that you want to hire support, right?
Typically, I would say, yeah, you want to
Yeah.
hire support because it can be time consuming, it can be overwhelming,
Yeah.
especially if you don't have a strategy around it. That's really where a lot of people mess up. They're like, "Oh, I don't need a strategy. I'm just gonna, I'll pitch them.
Spray and what
I'm
did you
gonna
call it?
spray and
Spray and
pray."
pray?
Exactly. Exactly. And what happens is there may be, and I'm not going to say that that doesn't work because sometimes it does,
Mhm.
but without a
Yeah.
strategy, then you've just gotten media coverage that you just got. For what purpose? It serves no purpose. And that is
Mhm.
why the strategy is important, because that's going to be answering the question of, where do I want to show up? Why do I want to show up? And what do I
Mhm.
want to get from it? That's the important thing. If you are using this as a business building tool, then you have to know
Right.
how this media is going to help you build your business. And that's where the strategy comes in.
Okay. All right. And how do you specifically help people with this? What do you do?
Well, basically, I work in two ways. One is you can hire me as your publicist, and you don't have to worry about any of that because my team and I do
Nice.
it. But if you're not at that point yet where you even have that in your budget, you can do it yourself. And the first thing that you want to do is spend some time consuming the media that you want to be on. I'll have people all the
Mhm.
time who say, "Oh, well, I want to be on Oprah." Well, what does that mean?
Right.
What exactly does that mean? Or, "I want to be on the Today Show." Like, have you ever watched the Today Show? "Oh, I don't watch TV." Well, like, that's the problem. How do you even know that you are going to
Right.
be a good fit? How do you know what they want? How do you know what they cover? When I was a producer, I would get bombarded with pitches, and most of them, I'd say at least 80 to 90% of them, were from people I could read the first line of a pitch and I know this person has never ever watched my show. They
Oh,
have no
wow.
idea what I even
Yeah.
cover. They don't even know that this is not a good fit. And that's the first step. Take some time to watch it. Everybody's in such a hurry to be on the show. Even if you got on
Mhm.
the show, you wouldn't know what to do with it. You wouldn't even know what to do with it. So part of
Yeah.
that is, no, paying attention. When you sit and you watch a show and you say, "Oh my gosh, I love the energy of this show." Maybe an anchor or a host has said something that makes you think that, oh, this is something that they are interested in. that right there tells you this is a great place for me to pitch. Like I have one client who's a matchmaker, and there's a particular show, I won't say any names, but there
Uh-huh.
is an anchor of the show who is divorced and she wants to, get back into another relationship. And she talks about it on the show all the time. And so we're like, oh, there you go.
It's a perfect
It's a
match.
perfect match.
Yeah.
Right. But we wouldn't know that if we were not engaging with the show. Cause I mean, she's not just like out there randomly telling people this, but she's saying it on the show. So you got to watch it and look for those little clues that kind of give you, that little God wink, like, oh, this is a good match. Let's go for it.
Okay. And then well, actually, you know what? I want to do this because I think that there might be a few people here that have some questions. LaChandri is on. Good afternoon. Let us know. Do you have any questions? Because I know you're in. She does marketing as well, and I'm sure that she has clients that have been interested in media tomorrow. Jessica, Sherry's here too. Let us know. But you know what? Actually, I have a question while we're waiting to see if any questions come in. So let's say, okay, I want to be on the Today Show because I actually do watch it and I really love their topics. And like, what is the best way to go about really figuring or pulling your own story out, understanding like what story do you have or what experience to make it make sense for that particular media?
Well, first of all, it's understanding the types of stories that they cover, right?
Right.
And then I would say, I wouldn't even say you want to start with the Today Show. I typically will tell people you have a much lower barrier of entry when you start with local news because number one, it's local news. So they are looking for local people. They want to cover their people. They want to see, folks in their communities, talking about their schools, their businesses, their families. So it's a much lower barrier of entry. And then also, it's a good place for you to cut your teeth, so to speak. When you watch the Today Show, you don't see people on there stumbling, trying to figure out what to say. That doesn't happen because those are people who are media savvy. They made their mistakes on the smaller platforms. You don't go from zero to
that's a good point.
The Today Show.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's the first point.
So you start smaller and kind of build yourself up.
Yeah. I always say, think big. Yes. Is the Today Show your objective? That's your goal? Absolutely. And you can do that, but you're not going to be on the Today Show next week. Can you be on your local news next week? Absolutely.
Okay. Got it. LaChandri just said, I'm interested in media marketing for the book I just released. Any suggestions for her?
Yeah, I would say, pick out a couple of topics from the book, like think broad in the sense of what is the book about? Who is the book for? Who are you targeting? Right? Who are you trying to sell this book to? And who is that message for? And then you take that and then decide, okay, this is the audience that I'm looking for. What shows have that as their target audience? Now, if you don't know, you can look at, either a magazine, a radio show, a television station. You can go to their website and you can see exactly who their audience is. And so if that is in alignment with your audience, then absolutely pitch them, go for it. Every station has a website. Every station has a website.
And you can get a lot of information from their website.
A lot of information. That's where I usually tell people that's the first place where you should start your research. It's easy, it's accessible. Start there.
And the contacts are there too.
Absolutely.
Typically, right?
Some of the contacts are there. And then sometimes you have to do a little bit more work and a little bit more digging. But in 5 minutes, you can get the email of the person that you're looking for.
Yeah. Okay. I think that actually answered her question because she said, or she asked, how do you get on local news? Okay. So here's more from LaChandri. So I'm a disability coach and the book explains the spiritual tools that I use to move from a wheelchair to a business chair. Yeah. She actually does have a really incredible story. So, and she's publishing this book about her story. any recommendations
Well, to me, that definitely
other than what
sounds,
you
I mean,
said?
it definitely sounds interesting, enlightening,
Yeah.
inspiring. So I would say one of the easiest ways for you to take something like that is as an expert in that space. Let's call it the disability space, for lack of a better
Mhm.
word. Um, you need to know when are those dates that the media outlets are looking for those types of stories. For example, there's a day for virtually everything. Like,
Oh, okay.
right? So when you think about your area of expertise, what are those days that that's coming up? For example, if I'm a health expert, then I know there's, you know, cancer
Maybe they
awareness.
do like Wellness Wednesday on a Wednesday or
Absolutely.
something.
Right.
But yeah,
And
Cancer Awareness Month,
right,
things like that.
exactly. So look for those things. If you follow me on Facebook, you can get access to my media calendar, which literally is just that. It's like a 12-month calendar of all the months, dates, and notable weeks on the calendar. So you can kind of look at those and see, oh, okay, here's National Dog Day. I'm a pet groomer. That would be a great time for me to pitch a story. Or,
Yeah.
it's National Diabetes Month, and I'm an RN that treats diabetes patients. You can kind of look, that's one of the easiest ways to start you know,
That makes
look at a
sense.
media calendar, and then that actually
Mhm.
helps you to see far enough in advance. Because another problem that people have when they're pitching is they wait too late. They wait too late. I can't
Okay.
tell you how many times people will come to me and say, "Oh, I had this great story for Black History Month." I'm like, well, it's February 15th. That's not going to happen because those journalists knew
Right.
Black History Month was coming, and they decided on their stories back in January. So
So how far in advance? So you're talking about like a few months in
typically for
advance?
local news, they're
Yeah.
going to be, in most cases, I'd say about 4 weeks, 3 to 4 weeks, where you want to
Okay.
be,
Okay.
pitching that story. Um,
Mhm.
if you're talking magazines, as much as 6 months.
Wow.
Yeah, that's when, you got to think about the production cycle is much, much longer. And when you think about national news, it's long as well. Local news is a lot easier and it moves faster. You can literally, pitch somebody on a Monday and be on TV on Friday.
Okay.
National news, it's much longer. That's a whole different process.
Yeah, no, that and I mean that makes sense. There's a lot more production
Yeah,
behind that.
absolutely.
That was a great question. Awesome. Any other questions, guys, before we hop off? So, if you do drop them, and I want to share with you that you can schedule a call on Stacia's calendar. So, hop on over there. It's beseengetbookedsession.com. Okay. So make sure to jump on her calendar. LaShondre, I think that it would be great for you to hop on her calendar, especially with your book release coming out.
Yeah.
Let me see if there's any other questions.
Yeah.
What is your name on Facebook? Where can they grab
Stacia
that calendar?
Crawford. Stacia Crawford. Yep. It's under my name, my personal profile. I share all kinds of great stuff. I go live once a week where I give, a lot of
Mhm.
really meaty information. I do a live masterclass once a month. Where people get lots of tips and advice and strategies, particularly if you're just starting out in media.
Yeah. Okay, awesome. Anything else? No, I think we're good. Any last comments? Anything else you want to share before we
I would
say
just say
bye?
if it's not something that you've thought about, if this is even giving you an inkling, oh, maybe I do want to be on TV. Maybe this
Yeah.
is suitable for me. Then just a call. And what we'll do is we can talk
Yeah.
about, what your business is, where you are, where you're trying to go, and how we can implement a media strategy to get you there. You started this business, you want to get in front of people. This is the fastest and easiest way. So don't let the fear
Mhm.
stop you. Stop making excuses. You don't need,
Yeah.
I hear people all the time, well, I need to have a bigger following. I need a bigger audience, or, when I get another degree or certification, all of those are, that's just fear. You're ready now. You're ready now. You may not be ready for the Today Show
Okay.
now, but I guarantee
Yeah.
you, you're ready
I was
for it.
jumping straight from 0 to Today
And that's
Show.
what most people do, right? That's literally what most people do. You may not be ready for Good Morning America. You may not be ready for Oprah yet. Um, but the first step is, your local newspaper. There are opportunities there.
Yeah.
But you have to approach it from the perspective of the journalist. You have to give them value. Don't just pitch your business as, oh, I've got this book. I want to, come on your show and talk about my book. And nope.
Right. Because they're more interested in their audience,
Absolutely. That's
obviously.
all they're
And so,
focused
how is it going to help them help their audience?
That's right.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. That's it. There is nothing else that they care about. So you have to look at it from that perspective. And there are more media outlets than ever before. There are more shows. There are more opportunities out there for you. So the media actually need you. You are doing them a service. So continue to do them a service and not feel like they're doing you a favor.
Love that. Stacia, this was so awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I'm glad we got to do this.
Oh, me too. Thank you guys for hopping on. If you're watching this on the replay, drop any questions. I'll make sure that that Stacia gets them, and make sure to schedule a call on her calendar. I'm actually going to drop that right now in the chat before we hop off. Look here with Stacia.
Yes.
And and oh my gosh, and I can't wait to see you in Vegas in how long? In just a few weeks. I'm so excited. So thank you again. And guys, make sure to jump into the workshop next week. It starts on Tuesday. I will also drop that link in the comments as well.
And I'll be there
next week. Yes, and Stacey's going to be there too. I can't wait. So it's been such a pleasure. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
All right. Bye, guys.